This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Didn't get a chance to catch up yesterday, Eddie.
Well.
No, I know. Gives us more to talk about today, though. Just witnessed the weigh-in. And as always, when he gets a little heated, I see a little smirk on your face. I see you getting happy. What was said up there between Devin and Jojo?
Well, I was trying to watch the Flatley Leonard fight, which has just finished in an unbelievable knockout. Fair play to Jack Flatley. Great atmosphere. And so I was just treating that. No, he didn't, unfortunately, but it was a great fight. And obviously getting excited about the weigh-in as well. Devin said, I'm going to punish you tomorrow night, and Jojo said, exchange with me. So you know what he wants. You know, he wants a tear up, and obviously Devin Haney wants to outbox him, break him down, and beat him up and stop him. Jojo said, it's my show, it's my house, and he said, you're a bum. I had the mic on, so hopefully you hear it later anyway. Just good, you know, everybody weighed in, ready to go. You've got a thrilling fight tomorrow night here in Vegas, and a big fight for the division. We saw a thriller last week, and I think you're going to get another one tomorrow night.
Is this the first time in Devin's career where it's looked like it's a personal kind of battle for him, or would you disagree with that?
No, I mean, there's a little bit of animosity. I think most importantly, he just wants to prove to everyone that he's the best. For a long time, since we've been representing him, he's wanted to fight the best in the division. I asked him, you know, probably 2 years ago, look, which champion do you want to try and beat? And he said Lomachenko. We went down the the WBC route. He became mandatory. We know what happened there. And since then, he's been dying out for those big fights. He's gone Gamboa, Linares, Jojo Diaz. It's a really good progression. And I think it's the perfect time for him now to step up against a really elite fighter like Jojo Diaz and show the world what we believe, which is that Devin Haney is the best lightweight in the world. But these are the kind of fights where you can start getting people to believe. And that's why it's such a blessing to make this fight, because sometimes you get a fighter like Devin that people don't want to fight. So you have to pay up the money and hope that people want to take the challenge, and respect to Jojo Diaz, because he's one of those guys that has taken the challenge.
George Camboso said yesterday to the media, it's not just necessarily going to be Devin next, it's whoever impresses him the most. So whether it be Devin or Tank tomorrow night, even potentially Loma next week against Comey, it's whoever makes more of a statement. So for as much as a win is important in Devin's case, how important is it that he actually does look good just to give himself the best chance?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you say that because it gives you an excuse to do something else, you know, and Devin's not the guy that's going to go in with his chin up in the air and start throwing windmills. He is, in my opinion, and I might be wrong tomorrow night, but he is the next Floyd Mayweather. You know, he's that good, and he's that kind of level of fighter that I expect to go on and have that kind of career. But that's just hype. Do you know what I mean? People can listen to that and say, I agree or I disagree, but that only gets shown over a course of time. And that only gets shown by beating people like Linares, Jojo Diaz, George Kambosos, Tank, Ryan Garcia. That's how you become a great. But I believe he can do it. But I might be wrong. But tomorrow night we're going to find out if I'm on the right path, because this is a real fight.
Eddie, that's a strong statement to make, comparing Haney to potentially becoming the next Floyd Mayweather.
You know, he's 23 years old. And I just believe that, you know, the route that he's taken so far, the skills that he has, the schooling that he has as well. And I'm not saying, you know, I believe he can be the next Floyd Mayweather, right? If he is, we can only see that against the best, because at the moment it's a statement that's hollow. It's just how I feel. But we need to prove it against elite opposition, and this is a great start.
I saw a couple of days ago that Lee Selby's been granted another IBF final eliminator for the title, which is currently held by George Kambosos. A surprise to you to see him granted another one so soon after obviously only facing George just over a year ago now?
I think it was probably, I can't remember exactly when it was it November last year? But, you know, the rules are quite simple, that, you know, you get 9 months and then you have to face a mandatory with the IBF. So Teofimo Lopez won. And now, obviously, when there's a new champion, there's another final eliminator ordered. So that won't be ordered for another 9 months, say. But certainly for Lee Selby, it's a result, because he could become a mandatory challenger to George Kambosos, or more likely at that stage, a vacant belt. So, you know, good for him. And it's just a natural process of when a vacant title is won, there is a final eliminator to find that number one spot. That's the IBF rules. But it's not coming anytime soon.
Are you guys involved in those talks?
I spoke. Jamie Senegal messaged me the other day. I don't know if we've got so many fights to get out. I don't know if that's a fight that we can place somewhere. But, you know, if we do a show in Wales, I think that would be a nice fit for the show.
One fighter on this card I want to touch on is Mark Castro. Now, I don't know whether I've misheard those weights or not, but 136.8 compared to 130.4. A considerable difference that he's missed weight by.
He has. The fight, I think, was made at 133. and he made mistakes. You know, I haven't seen him do that before, but came in heavy, had to pay a sizable penalty to his opponent to accept the fight, and he's got to learn from that. You know, something clearly not gone right in his preparation, and he's got a tough fight tomorrow night. And if he's not prepared properly, then he could be in for a very tough night tomorrow night. So at this stage in your career, after having 4 fights, we saw it with Khalil Coe recently, you've got to be professional and you've got to learn. Sometimes it's out of your control, sometimes you've made a mistake. We'll get to the bottom of what it is, but it can't happen again.
Jessica McCaskill versus Candy White. You know, all week Devin said you don't want to look beyond Jojo Diaz. Jessica the same. You don't want to look past Candy White, despite what could be lined up next year. What do you expect to see from her tomorrow night?
I just think you've got a really good old school female fighter that's sort of a servant to female boxing, that's got the opportunity of a lifetime. She's non-stop action every single round, as is Jessica McCaskill. I think Jessica's going to try and box a little bit more now and try and use a little bit more skill rather than just come forward marauding and brawling. I expect a good fight there, and you're right. You know, you've got everyone's talking about Chantel Cameron, Katie Taylor, whoever it could be. You could get beat by Candy White, so you know she's got to be switched on. And if she is, I expect her to win convincingly tomorrow.
McCaskill was coy on a potential Katie Taylor fight when I asked her this week, but she mentioned Chantel Cameron's name a bit more positively. Is that more likely of a fight to make, provided both come through their upcoming bouts?
Yeah, I think that everyone knows that we're trying to make the Serrano fight. Should Katie Taylor win next week, and that could be 2 of those fights. We don't know how the contract will look for that fight. But, Chantel Cameron, I expect to be in the undisputed fight in March, probably, February, March. And then from there, she's going to want to look at, Katie Taylor. She's going to want to look at McCaskill. And McCaskill has earned the right, really. When you look at what she's done, she came over to Britain as a lightweight, quite inexperienced, gave Katie Taylor a really tough fight, went up to 140, won the world title, unified, went up to 47, which she wasn't even a welterweight, beat Brackhouse twice to become undisputed. So she deserves those big paydays, and I think if she gets through Saturday night, she'll get them next year.
Now, just a few other topics to quickly touch on, Eddie, before I let you go. Your old pal Frank Warren said that talks have been, whether it be just small talks or larger talks, I don't know, but talks had taken place between AJ's team and Tyson's team about potential step aside and what have you. Have you got any kind of information or details you can share?
Just a couple of calls to me about it. Nothing major to report, really. I mean, I spoke to Anthony this morning, and the message is quite clear. Don't approach me with that. And if you do, make sure you've got something that won't make me very angry that you've called me about it, because it goes against everything that he's about. Do you know what I mean? And I said to him this morning, I said, look, sometimes an offer presents itself that we have to look at, but that's not the case yet. And if it does present it, I will bring it to you. And he said, well, don't bring me anything that you think, we'll fall out over, because I just want to fight Alexander Usyk. So at the moment, I wouldn't say talks, there's been some conversations and some communications, but right now the focus is still on Alexander Usyk. If something presents itself to us that I feel is worth me approaching Anthony in 258, then we'll do so. But he made it quite clear that, he might chin me if I push that agenda, because he's got his mind on becoming a freeweight world champion.
So listening to you talk there, Eddie, would you say that you're fairly confident that it won't go beyond these initial conversations between the teams?
It all depends on. And it's not all about monetary. It's about a plan to be in an undisputed fight, or to be in a massive fight against the winner, or and there's loads of things to consider. But we're not out there looking for it. Do you know what I mean? We're not phoning people saying, well, how much would it be? What's the plan? We've had an approach of which we will consider the options and the basis of that approach. And if it gets to a point where I think it's worth a conversation with Anthony Joshua, there will be one. But he's made it quite clear to me it's kind of against what he wants to do and what he is about, which is a throwback fighter. And he wants to get straight back in there with Alexander Usyk. So it would have to be something very appealing.
Moving away from AJ, another one of your good friends, Leonard Ellerbe, has had a few words for you over Twitter. Yesterday, never had a chance to catch up with you. I know you replied. Just want to get your thoughts on what he had to say about the Tank and the Haney comparison.
I just said that I feel like this is a much bigger fight and a better fight than Tank. He says, we've sold more tickets than you. I don't actually believe that. But anyway, if you have, congratulations. And Tank is a big draw at the gate. Tank is a bigger draw at the gate than Devin Haney. I'm not disputing that. All I'm saying is this is a better fight. Much better fight. Everybody knows that in boxing. And by the way, it's part of your $19.99 a month subscription. That's also just giving you Teofimo Lopez, that gives you Ben Algieri next week, just gave you a great fight in Bilbao, that gives you Chisora Parker. And Tank against Cruz is $74.99 for the one fight. What would you rather do? You want to watch a better fight for better value for money? But Leonard, honestly, like Leonard, these guys, Leonard, Steven Espinoza, they've got to stop thinking about me. Put me out of your mind. If I'm so irrelevant, stop talking about me. Stop thinking about me. Stop letting your blood boil. Do you know what I mean? We can all do business together. But clearly, there's something about me. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've just got that little chubby face that you just want to smack. You know what I mean? I don't know. But clearly, they don't like me. But I'll keep it real with you guys. The problem is I always give you my opinion. And, you know, he's called me a pathological liar. Spelt it wrong as well, but it's another thing. But I'll tell you my opinion. And my opinion is this is a much bigger fight and better fight than theirs. That's all. Doesn't mean that next time their one won't be bigger. But right now, I'm going to let the world know that this is the fight this weekend.
Away from that, Michael Hunter succumbing to a split decision draw last night with Jerry Forrest, who also drew with Zhilei Zhang previously. Just get your thoughts on seeing Hunter's, I don't know if you watched his fight, but just the result.
I mean, surprising. I mean, look, Forrest is no mug. Like, good amateur, you know, had a good fight with Zhilei Zhang. But Michael Hunter is supposed to be this, you know, I mean, listen, I won a purse bid for him to fight Filip Hrgović for a final eliminator. He decided not to do it, to come back and draw with Jerry Forrest. So, it's a disaster for him, but I haven't seen the fight. I saw Lou DiBella tweeting that it was a robbery and Forrest should have won. But I don't know. But listen, Michael's a good fighter and I'm sure he'll be back.
Campbell Hatton returning to earlier tonight in Spain as well. How happy were you for him on the back of a AJ Usyk fight that he had to come back and first stoppage victory as well?
Really happy. And it was a good performance. Look, it was a step down in opposition because at this stage we need to give him experience. We need to give him some confidence. He's got to be working on the things that he's been working on in the gym. And I take a little bit of the blame for giving him that massive platform and 60,000 here and, you know, and it will help him. And he gave a really good interview after where he basically said, that wasn't a mistake doing that, but maybe this also helps me, a little bit of both. And I will learn so much. You can't not learn from walking out in front of 65,000 and fighting like that. So, but you know, the opportunities that we have to place fighters on international shows is so important for their development. And if you are going to be, and that's not just for, you know, not saying novice, but, you know, raw novices like Campbell, which he is at the moment, I'm talking about for quality young fighters to be able to box all around the world, so that when you make it to that stage in a big fight, in your big moment, you've been there, you've seen it, you've experienced it. And that was a good win for Campbell Hatton. Let's just keep him under the radar, every now and again pop up on a big show. Still like him to rematch that kid, and, you know, keep him nice and active around the world in 2022.
Final one, Eddie. Never had you down as a Foo Fighters fan?
Yeah, Foo Fighters. Yeah, yeah. It was an experience. I mean, if you were a Foo Fighters fan or you like that kind of music, I can imagine it being the most incredible experience. For me, it was still an amazing experience, but I don't know, Foo Fighters, I just can't see myself getting into it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Eddie, I hope you had a good night regardless, and I'll leave you now to enjoy the 30 members of the media who have just circled around us. Thank you for your time this week.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.